There is a version of your life, right now, that someone else is dreaming about. Not a better version, not a richer one, this exact life. And somehow, you forgot to notice it. That is not a guilt trip. That is one of the most quietly studied phenomena in modern psychology, and the answer to why some people seem to radiate contentment, while others, despite having more, always feel like something is missing.
Scientists call it hedonic adaptation. The rest of us call it normal. Your brain is designed, literally wired at a biological level, to return to a baseline emotional state, no matter what happens to you. Win the lottery, lose a limb, fall in love, lose a job. Within months, sometimes weeks, your brain pulls you back to where you started emotionally. It is not weakness. It is ancient survival programming. But it comes at a cost most people never see coming. Here is what that cost looks like in real life. You spend years chasing a goal, a promotion, a relationship, a number in your bank account. You get it. There's a rush, maybe a few weeks of genuine happiness. Then one morning you wake up and it just feels ordinary again. So you start chasing the next thing. This is the loop. And most people spend their entire lives inside it without ever realizing the loop even exists. But here is where it gets interesting. Researchers studying happiness across dozens of cultures found something that stopped them in their tracks. The variable most consistently linked to sustained well-being was not income, not health, not social status. It was something far simpler and far harder to manufacture. It was the regular, deliberate act of noticing what you already have and actually feeling it. Gratitude, in its truest form, is not a personality trait. It is a skill. And like any skill, the brain can be trained in it. When scientists scanned the brains of people who practiced gratitude consistently, they found measurable changes in the prefrontal cortex, the region responsible for emotional regulation and decision-making. The brain, given the right input, literally restructures itself to notice abundance before it notices lack. This is not a new discovery wrapped in modern language. Ancient Stoic philosophers built entire mental disciplines around this same idea. They called it negative visualization, the practice of imagining life without the things you value most, not to feel fear, but to feel appreciation. They believed that the greatest threat to a meaningful life was not suffering, it was numbness, the slow erosion of wonder that comes when you stop noticing what is already extraordinary about your ordinary days.
There was a study conducted with two very different groups of people. One group was asked to write down 5 things they were grateful for once a week. The other group wrote down 5 neutral events from their week. After 10 weeks, the gratitude group reported significantly higher levels of optimism, exercised more, visited doctors less, and felt better about their lives overall. The neutral group stayed exactly the same. Same circumstances for both groups. The only difference was where they chose to point their attention.
That is the part most people miss. Gratitude does not require your life to be going well. It does not require you to pretend that hard things are not hard. It simply requires you to widen your lens long enough to see the whole picture, instead of just the gap between where you are and where you think you should be. That gap is always there. The mind manufactures it automatically. The practice is learning to see past it.
Here is something that tends to shift perspective quickly. Think about running water, the kind that comes from a faucet, clean, hot, or cold, on demand, without thought. For most of human history, people walked hours every day to collect water that was often contaminated. Entire civilizations rose and fell around the problem of getting clean water to people. And today, most people in the developed world walk past that miracle dozens of times a day without a second thought. Not because they are ungrateful people, because the brain adapts, because ordinary becomes invisible.
The things you are most adapted to are often the things that would change your life completely if they were taken away. Your ability to see, the feeling of waking up and not being in pain, a person who knows your name and is glad when you call. These things exist in your life right now, quietly, without announcement, waiting to be noticed. There's an anthropological theory that suggests early human tribes survived not because of physical strength, but because of social bonding. Connection was not a luxury, it was survival. And the emotion that deepened those bonds fastest, that made people feel seen and valued within their community, was expressed appreciation. Gratitude was not just a feeling, it was the glue of civilization.
That biological pull toward appreciation is still inside you. It has not gone anywhere. It has just been buried under deadlines and notifications and the constant low hum of wanting more. The practice of gratitude is, in a very real sense, a return. Not to some romanticized version of the past, but to a way of perceiving the world that your nervous system was always designed for. What the happiest people seem to understand, not perfectly, not every day, but as a returning practice, is that contentment is not a destination, it is a direction. It is something you choose to face again and again, especially when the noise of life tries to pull you towards scarcity and comparison and the endless pursuit of what is next. There is nothing wrong with wanting more. Ambition, growth, and change are part of being human. But there is a version of wanting that burns clean, that moves forward without consuming the present. And that version only becomes possible when you stop living entirely in the future and start showing up fully for the life that is already here. The people who seem to have found something the rest of the world is still searching for have not found a secret shortcut. They have simply learned to stay in the room, to look around, to let what is good, even the quiet and unremarkable kind of good, actually land. That is not a small thing. In a world designed to keep you wanting, choosing to notice what you have is almost a radical act. And the extraordinary part is that it is always available, right now, in whatever version of your life is real today. The only question is whether you are willing to look.